All right, guys, we are live here talking about brand building, talking about e-commerce, how we can grow our brands here, talking about CRO. A lot of fun stuff to cover. So obviously this is our first one here, so it's brand new. Hopefully we get a couple people in here today, answer some questions. Obviously we just made this Whop group here, so bear with me a little bit, brand new for us. But for those of you who don't and who are watching this here, my name is Nicholas. I'm the founder here at 253 Media. Had an e-commerce brand back in 2014, 2015. Closed that in 2016 when I started the agency here. And since then, we've been full-time on the agency. So we've worked with more than 350 brands since 2017 now, across 20 different industries, a little bit more than that now. We've done a lot of really cool stuff, anything from startups to Fortune 200 and everything in between. So we've seen a lot of different things, seen a lot of cool things, seen a lot of bad things in businesses. But one thing's for sure, we do know how to grow our businesses here. So really what we want to be thinking about is how we can grow efficiently. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff in the market right now. We have these tariffs that are crazy. We've got all kinds of high ad costs, high dollar, products and whatnot. So we're always going to be here talking about how we can get the most out of our business here, how we can get more profit. One thing I do want to talk about today, for those of you who are rewatching this here, profit is everything for an e-commerce business, right? It's all about profit. I don't care how much revenue you make, I care about how much profit you make. And so for me, my job here is to help you guys make more profit, help you get more out of your business, help you get more out of your ads, help you get more out of your site. So we're talking about that today. Today, what we're going to be doing is actually going through a site, doing a live analysis here, understanding where some of our pinch points are here, talking about some A/B testing as well. So we'll be going through that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen today. If you guys do have questions later on, as you guys are rewatching this, please jump in, ask these questions. I'm happy to answer more as we go. The whole point of this group here is to give you guys as much information, as much clarity as I possibly can here. So we'll be going through here, starting with Wake of Hope. Now, I have not gone through the site too much, so we're going to do this live on the call here, which is fun. I like doing it this way. It gives me, you guys can see my initial reactions on here, really to understand, what I'm seeing as a consumer for the very, very first time. So I like to do it this way. First and foremost, one thing about candles. Candles are a very interesting business. We've worked with a couple candle brands over the years. A couple things that are very challenging, I should say, with candles is the buying experience of buying a candle. And so I want to touch on that here. One thing we'll talk about is psychology, really what it goes into of buying a candle, and really even just buying a product in general, like the buyer psychology here. We talk about a lot on the site. So I want to think about this real quick before we get into the site. When we think about a candle, you go to the store and you buy a candle. What is that buying process that you go through? Typically, when we go through and actually buy a candle, that process is going to be, I see one that I like the casing, right? I like the case here. So something like this looks nice. It matches my house, matches my decor here. But then the most important piece here is, does it smell good, right? Can I come in here and the first thing you do is you're gonna pick up a candle and you're gonna smell it. Unfortunately, with a candle, shopping on e-commerce, you can't smell something through the screen. So what we want to be thinking about is, how can we invoke that same feeling through a digital experience, right? How can we get people to smell through our screen? How they can be like, ooh, that smells good. That's how I want my house to smell like. That's what I want my office to smell like. That's what I want my bedroom to smell like. And so those are the things that we want to be thinking about as we're going through our site. So we'll go through this one page by page here, talk about a lot of different stuff on here. So we'll go through it. Let's get started. Let's look at our homepage here. So candles you can feel good about. Clean, burning, and toxin-free. Every Wake of Hope candle brings peace to your space and helps support children and survivors through every purchase. Love that. That's incredible. It's amazing. A small flame with a big purpose. Explorer sense. So I like this a lot. It's good. It looks good here. She obviously looks like it smells good. She's happy like this. So I have no complaints about this. This sounds great. So all good here. I like this a lot too. So luxury fragrances. Proudly made. I think this is something that's also very, very cool. Telling you guys where you guys are making your products. I do like that. That is a big value prop, especially now with like all the tariffs and stuff like that. So we like that. Clean burning. I think this is more of a value prop than anything else right here. This is something that is super important. People are very health conscious. I'm health conscious as a consumer, and so this is something I would be leaning into. Now, a couple things on here I would be curious about, especially if you look at heat maps on here. We do have quite a few things going through on this carousel. I would be curious. Now, most people probably don't stop as long as I do. Obviously, we're here just looking right now, but I would be curious to see how many of these people are actually seeing, and if there's a better use case of these value props, potentially in a different format or somewhere else in here. But we'll keep on going here. Light a change of life. I like this. Now, this right here. So I want to touch on this. This is something that is very interesting to me for brands that do have a bigger purpose, like you guys. When we see these numbers, to me, this shows me as a consumer that you guys are just getting started, and I probably can't trust you yet because you are a brand new business. I love that we're donating. I think this is fantastic. I would probably be cautious of putting this right at the gate, because if you said, "Hey, we've only donated $400," to me that says, "Hey, you haven't really made any sales yet. It's just getting started. I really trust you." I don't know. I would be cautious of this. To me, this is almost more of a hindrance to making a purchase than actually making a purchase and actually talking about this. So I would be cautious of this. I like where your head's at. I like the thought process here, but I would be careful with that. So far, we're very focused on the mission, so we like this a lot. Going towards a greener planet, we're very focused on this. Now, one thing that we talk about a lot of with brands that are you know pushing a bigger mission here is the goal here still needs to be selling a product, right? Because selling a product is what's going to get us to our mission here. And so right now we're very mission focused. We've got mission, we've got mission, we've got mission. We're not necessarily pushing our products to sell more. And then jumping in here, we have this powered by Green Spark. Now, I don't know what that is. To me, this looks like something else. I would be thinking about how we can at least get rid of this or build this in a way that feels a little bit more like part of our site. It does feel a little out of place, but I would be thinking about that. So I like where it's at. Now, we're getting into our sales stuff here. So this is what I want to start thinking about. Now, two things on here. Right here, products are in USD. We've got CAD up here. So a little bit of a hang up there. Obviously, I'm here in the US, here in Nashville, Tennessee. So there is that, right? We are getting our currency over to the right conversion there, but it is a little funny. So I would be thinking about that. So just kind of goes back to don't love this. We could even just say $397, something like that, or get rid of it. But continuing down, so getting into our products, this is what we're actually doing. Remember, we got to remember that we are in business to sell, right? We're in business to sell a product. We're in business to get sales, and so we need to think about how we can make it a little bit easier for people to get their purchase, right? They can make their purchase here. So I would be thinking about this. I do like this. I'd almost rather see this broken up into a different section to add a little bit more symmetry throughout this. These look great, but I'd love to see one more just add a little more balance here. It does feel a little out of balance there. So I would be thinking about that. Maybe put a bundle somewhere else, put like a nice bundle section on here a little bit further down. Why wake up candles hope or wake up hope candles. Said that wrong here. So I like this a lot. Some good information in here. Looks good. Looks on brand. If it was me, I'd probably have something more like this where we get into our best sellers, and then the why section down here. So I like that a lot. Really like this. The shopable video works great. Really big fan of this. I think this is an awesome section also just to show that you guys are an established business. We are doing more here. And then getting down in here into our testimonials, which testimonials are huge. If you don't know this, it's like 90% of people read testimonials and reviews before making a purchase. And so what I'd be thinking about, and confirm this in your heat maps, of course, this would be something to look at, is what percentage of your audience here is actually getting down this far? Are people getting far enough down here to see this? We see this a lot with landing pages and product pages where their reviews are too far down on the page, where a good portion of people aren't even seeing those. So I would be thinking about how can we get this trust building stuff up a little bit higher? That would be an initial thought. Now, obviously, back that up with your heat maps there and your scroll depths. But I do think that would be something worthwhile to look at. So I know we want to talk about some A/B testing here in a little bit too. We'll get there. But to me, I would love to see something where we have a little more of the brand and a little more of the trust up in this area and then bring this kind of stuff down. So initial thoughts here, seems like the site's a little out of order, which is fine. We see that a lot. But I would be thinking about how we can reorganize this a little bit, get more of a brand commitment, a little more brand value in here, more brand trust with our sales in there, and then back it up with our mission in here a little more. So I like this a lot too. Scent quizzes are huge. So going back to what I was initially saying, we want to be able to smell this through the screen. So this could be something I'd be thinking about of how we can actually maybe bring this up. Scent quizzes and quizzes in general typically convert very, very well. A lot of cosmetic brands use them. So I'd even love to see that up in this area. I could see that being a pretty good thing, pushing people to our quiz, getting them into the products they actually want to have. They don't know what it is, make that shopping experience a little bit better. Yeah, there's going to be some drop off, but typically a conversion from a quiz is going to be a very, very high conversion. Plus, you get an email out of it, so it's a win-win there. So I would be curious about that. See what we can do to get it out from there. Moving on here, let's keep on going. Clean candles, real purpose. Love this. Letters from the founder. I think this is great. This is something I think good spot, nice and low on the page. I have no problem with that. And then into our FAQs. Again, love it. Love this. All good here. Blog's an interesting one with e-commerce, kind of deteriorates from the actual buying journey there. So I would be okay to remove this from our homepage and just have a link to our blog down here. If we have, it looks like you guys are pretty active on the blog. So this is something that, well, actually, I guess we had a pretty good gap in here. We're getting back active. So there we go. With that, I mean, I would probably remove that from our homepage. Remember, our whole goal of our page is to, give people a journey through our site, help them find their products correctly, make it easy for them to buy, and of course, give them the information they need to make an educated buying decision. So that's the whole point of our site here. And when we see stuff like this, typically this is going to be something that's more of an interruption in a sales process, in the buying journey. And so I would think about removing that from our homepage there. I like this a lot. We have a lot of value props on here. There's a lot of information. This is something where almost to the point where I'd rather see us be a little more product focused, which I don't say very often. But my issue here is we're very value prop. We're very focused on brand. We're very focused on mission here. This is really the only actual sales section that we have. And so when I think about it that way, you're not making it easy for me to find the right products for me. The only really thing I can do is click here or use our navigation, which is fine. People do not use our navigation. That's going to be a big factor for sure. But I would like to see a little bit of an improved intra-site navigation through our homepage to get people to find products a little bit easier, find the right products for them, breaking things up into different scents, building our bundles out here, scent collections, something like this. I would love to see some sections around these kinds of collection builds on our homepage here. So if you had like a citrus collection or a coffee collection, like that kind of stuff, get people excited to smell, get that feeling of a deliciously smelling candle or an amazing smelling candle here into our site. So, bring the spot home. Like these are these kinds of things that when we put onto our homepage helps guide people through that buying journey. And so this is something to me that I think we can improve on just from a homepage structure. Like the information here is good. We have a lot of good information, but we aren't necessarily making it easy for people to find the right products. So homepage wise, that's where I'm thinking. Now let's go ahead and jump into, let's go click on candles. We'll start here. We'll start with some nice spa. That sounds nice. I could go for a spa day. All right, clean candles with purpose. Jumping over here to our collections of the spa collection. So I like this. This one, probably not the best image for a spa. Personally, I'd probably go for something a little more like an actual spa in here, a more spa day. That is okay. So the reason why I'm saying that here is this does not spark emotion. This looks like it's on my kitchen counter. What I would love to see is, someone, they got the cucumbers on their eyes, they are relaxed, there's some nice candles there. You could really bring that ambiance from a spa day into the website where I can be like, that sounds nice. That's what I'm looking for. That's that relaxation feeling that I want, that emotional feeling that we're looking for. And so when we do it that way, that's what I would be thinking about here. And so imagery, that's going to be a big thing that we talk about, is really how can we match our imagery to our purpose? How can we match our imagery to our customer journey? And so with that, I think this is going to be something I would think about is making sure we are choosing the right images in here. Moving down, oops, we have no, that's right. I'm not sure if it's a typo or not, but if that is a typo, we know that. So we're not sure if that is supposed to be that way. I like this. This is all good though. This section right here, it's a little thick. when it comes to sites, we can even look here, jumping over here into mobile here also. It does stack better. We look at it that way. It does stack well. But the issue that we're starting to run into in here is it does still take quite a bit of space. So I would be thinking about how we can maybe improve in this more on desktop than anything. And actually one other thing to talk about on here. This is good. I like this, but clean handles with a purpose doesn't really identify our collection. So I would be thinking about that. Bring that spa day home, something like that, or candles for your spa or something like that. Whoever that audience is there, I would be having a little bit more emphasis on the collection and the experience, right? Candles are an experience. People have candles; they want to have a certain feeling when they light them. I would be thinking about how we can mimic that same thing on the site. But keep on going. This section super thick on desktop, it's better on mobile. I'm assuming most of it's going to be on mobile. Obviously, we'll look at desktop just to make space a little bit easier to see on the screen here. But think about that as we're going in here, how we can utilize our space a little bit better. Spacing here also looks a little funky. I'm not sure if this is a custom section or not, but the space could be a little funky there. All right, moving in here. So looks like the way we have this right now, actually, the way we structured this is based on a filter, not on a specific collection, which is fine. There's a lot of different ways to do that. I do like this over here. I'd love to see that be sticky, so you can scroll with it as you go in here. Makes sense now why we have it as a collection is not like that. So I would be thinking about that. Obviously, I saw the blog. Assuming you guys are pushing some SEO in there, I would be thinking about how we can get more out of that with a better collection structure in here. So we can get more SEO, a little more of a target there versus using the filters like this. So something to think about. Continuing on here, not sure if it's my screen or not. Images look a little blurry. So I would just double check that. I'm not sure if you can see that here on the screen share, but on my screen, they are a little blurry. So I would think about that. 2 columns. So this is something to think about. Now, this is not something I have personally tested in an A/B test. Use of space though. This is something on mobile, 2 column works great. I would think about how we can stretch this out on desktop a little bit more. Put it into a 3 at least. They're not big products. They're taking up a lot of space though. And so we can use this space a lot easier, a lot better to reduce some scrolling in here too. So I would think about that, how we can use that space a little better. I would probably recommend a 3 column grid, something I would look at. Overall, all good here. A lot of scrolling. That's okay though, no problem there. I would also be thinking about how we can filter based on sense. So we're in a spa filter right now. Then we can filter, light, medium, strong, filter by sense too. That would be something I would be thinking about. Rose and berry is a lot different than what was another one in here? Smoky woods and cashmere. So I'd be thinking about how we can do that. There's certain scents I really like. There's certain scents I really don't like. So I'd be thinking about that. Blog again kind of interrupts our sales journey here. So I wouldn't be putting these kinds of things on a collection page. But this kind of stuff I would be putting on a collection page. Right? We want to put that value on there. We want to put those buying propositions, the trust building. This is the kind of stuff I'd be seeing on here. I'd also love to see some reviews. I think that section where you had the shoppable video, something like that could work really, really well. Again, right, we want to get people excited to buy their candle. We want people to trust that this is going to be a deliciously smelling candle. And so how can we get them to overcome that? I can't smell it, right? I can't smell this through my screen. So how can we go and basically ease their mind that this candle is going to smell amazing? It's going to be the best candle they've ever had. That's what we want to be thinking about. And so great way to do that, obviously, nailing our scents and stuff like that. But big thing here is gonna be what other people are saying. If a million people are like, I love lemon candles and this is the best lemon candle I've ever smelled, yeah, that's gonna be pretty good. So that's kind of stuff I would be thinking about in here. But yeah, overall, this is good. I'd probably be thinking about just removing this, making that a little more streamlined, one way in, one way out, more of a funnel system there versus you can get into our buying system here, but then you can jump out very easily. So all right, let's jump over here to our product page. I'm gonna grab this one. It's got our highest rated one. So in here, product page isn't bad, right? So far, so good. Couple things we can talk about on here, just kind of organization. So a couple things I look at is how smooth our buy box is. And we'll look at this here on desktop. We'll look at it on mobile here in just a sec as well. I do think we can improve this a little bit. We got the information in here. This is kind of in a weird spot right here. I'd probably move that down in this area. Um, Reviews, that's fine. No problem there. I would say you could probably use this a little bit better. In stock, ready to ship, you could probably just get rid of that. I don't think you really need that in there, especially since you have this information down here as well. If it's, April 28th to May 6th, I would assume it's in stock and ready to ship. So I would be thinking about that. The reason why I bring this up is when we are thinking about buy boxes, especially, space is crucial. So this whole section right here is one of the most important pieces of your site to spend time optimizing, because this is going to be where your users spend a lot of time, right? They're coming here from ads, they're coming here from email, Google Shopping, they're coming here from a lot of different places. And a lot of times people will land straight onto a product page. And so we need to make sure that the product page gives them all the information they need to make an educated buying decision. You guys will hear me say that a lot. It's probably my favorite phrase to say about websites, because that's really the whole point of a website. The whole point here is to give your audience the information they need to make an educated buying decision. So the more we can do that, the better off we're going to be. And when we look at a buy box like this, the goal of your buy box really needs to be giving people a summary of that information, right? Touch on your core points. So for example, what it is, candle, right? Minty fresh morning candle, scent, right? So eucalyptus spearmint. We've got the two big things here. Reviews, got to have that. How much does it cost? We got the scent strength. We like that. Probably don't really need this since we have that. Buy buttons. We like that. Our core buying props. We like that. Scrolling down a little bit further in here. So now let's touch on this a little bit. Probably made in Canada. Love that. We got our free shipping information. We've got a lot of buying information in here too. So this is all looking good. I've got no problem with this. I like that we have the, kind of the bigger, bulkier information underneath our buy box. So I like that a lot. And then we have this too. So we're getting some good stuff in here, going back to the green spark. So again, probably think about how we can clean that up a little bit. Keeping going here. So we've got this. I like this a lot. I would be curious to see if a lot of people are actually like looking through this and stopping here like I am right now. This, you can get rid of this. We don't want people going and sharing somewhere else. Guarantees, good. Exchanges, good. Shipping information. This is something right here I would be thinking about. And the reason why I want to bring this up, going back to what I was saying, you can't smell it through the screen, right? The first thing you do when you go buy something, buy a candle, is you're going to go and smell it. And I like eucalyptus and spearmint. I like these kinds of scents. But what if I don't like this one? What if I just like, hey, this is not what I want because I don't like this one? That does happen, and that is the risk of candles. That's why people are apprehensive to buy candles online. And so when we come in here, I would probably put more information about this a little bit higher up. I would assume that's going to be a bigger hindrance to buying versus the mission stuff. Because the mission stuff, we're still pushing that. We're still pushing that. That's all good. That's going to help people make their decision to buy. But we also want to do, a better job here of overcoming the objections of why not to buy. What if I buy a $30 candle and I don't like it? What if my girlfriend hates it? What if she's like, this is atrocious smelling? What if I get it and I'm like, this is not what I like? This is not what I want my house to smell like. What if I have an allergic reaction to it? What if I'm, something like that? And so I would be thinking about how we can put that kind of information up a little bit higher so people do actually see that. Right now it's a little hidden. I do like this though. Satisfaction guarantee, no questions asked, no risk, no peace of mind. This is something I would be looking at. I would say, how can we make this a little more clear? How can we ease their mind that if they don't like it, hey, no harm, no foul, send it back. We'll get you taken care of. Right? We got to ease that mind. And most people probably won't take you up on that offer, I would assume. But I would be thinking about how we can get that ease of mind that if I don't like it, I can return it or I can get a different one. And we think about this a lot in clothing brands. When it comes to clothing, whether it's t-shirts, pants, sweatshirts, anything really, return policy is going to be one of your most important pieces. So the two things that we really look for in there are going to be sizing and returns. So for me, for example, just me personally, I'm in between sizes on everything. I'm just an awkwardly shaped person. I'm a cyclist, and so we're just kind of weirdly shaped. And what happens though is I'll buy something. A lot of times it doesn't fit right. I'm kind of in between a medium and a large on most things. And so what happens now is if I don't know if I can return something, I'm probably not going to buy it. If their size guide is not very clear, I'm probably not going to buy it. And so same kind of thing here is it's more of a hindrance that I need to overcome because that is an objection that I have in the buying process. And so similar to clothing, candles are very similar in the sense that it's a hindrance if I can't get rid of it if I don't like it. And since I can't try it before I buy it, I can't smell it at the store before I buy it, what if I don't like it? That's going to be a big thing. So I would be thinking about that as something to push a little bit harder. Maybe even a little bit harder than some of like the mission kind of stuff. So we have our product, we've got our mission, and then we've got our actual like logistics. So those are the three big things, but I think we need a little more emphasis on here. Guarantees, good. Like this. This is pretty cool actually. I like this a lot too. This is something that I would be talking about. Some candles are not great quality. We've seen some bad candles out there. So I'd be thinking about some stuff like this too. Overall, I think we're doing a good job of pushing our value props. I think we just need to have a little more balance on what value props we're pushing in here. I like this though. Not sure what app you guys use. We can go through the source code if we want to, but not sure what app we're using for this. This could be something I'd love to see, maybe some more reviews up in here. Other things that we could be putting in here, a little more trust building. So review snippets. You could even put some shoppable video in here. There are some sites that do that. I haven't used that personally. That could be something that we could try as well. I'd personally like to try that for you guys. I think that would be something that would be good just to get ease people's mind that this is a really, really good product. So those are the things that we're looking at. Other big thing that we're missing in here, I almost forgot about upsells. Doesn't look like we have any upsells in here. Should double check. Yeah, so no upsells in here. I would be thinking about that also, whether it's a set, whether it's a a complimentary set, something like that. I don't think we really buy candles in ones, so I would be thinking about that, especially since we do have this free shipping up here over 99. So get people up in there. Pairs well with other scents you might like, make it easier for people to buy more product. So I would be doing that, helping people get up to that free shipping threshold, versus having to go and restart their entire buying process. Reviews, love this, all good here, no complaints there. What is going on? Okay, oh, interesting. Okay, so we have our product reviews here, and then we've got our all reviews. A little bit of a funky experience there, especially if we start seeing 5 reviews here and then 58 reviews. This is something I would be probably trying to clean up a little bit, make this a little bit more clear. It's a little confusing. So I would think about how we can get that a little better though. Made by hand, crafted by Com. Don't really know what the video is. I'm assuming this is how you guys make the candles. Yep, there we go. Okay. Maybe size this a little bit differently so we can see a little bit better. Kind of a funky shape video. So try that out. Clean sense, no headaches, just calm. Oddly shaped image here. Again, we just want to add some balance in here. So I would be thinking about that. Imagery is going to be a big thing. One thing we also want to be thinking about when it comes to imagery here, kind of like what I was talking about earlier, on the spa page over here. I want people to feel like they're in a spa, right? When they go here, they feel like they're in a spa. Same kind of thing over here. I want people to have a feeling on here, and we just don't really have that. But I don't want to say the site feels sterile. That's the wrong word. It's a little bland, and I think we can use some imagery to get a little more of a comfy, cozy feeling or a clean feeling. I'd probably tie this to a product type, going back to our nav up here. You could tie to a Metafield or something like that, make it a little more dynamic for citrus or coffee, something like that. But again, we want to spark that emotion. We want people to feel, and want people to be able to smell through the screen here. So these are the things that we're looking for. We'll keep on going here. We'll keep on going. Got this again. Like this a lot. I think this is great. Now we're finally into the you may also like. So what can we do to get people to buy more product? AOV is a huge factor for every e-commerce brand on the planet. We want to make sure people are buying more. We need to make it a little easier for people to buy more. So there's also a pretty long product page. I would be thinking about how we can shorten this a little bit. And typically, I'm a proponent for a longer product page. But I would be thinking about how can we streamline this a little bit more. We've got kind of a funky gap in here. I would be thinking about how we can streamline this a little bit more, get people that information they need a little bit faster. And then, of course, just, again, making it easier for people to buy. I get them to trust you, get them to trust that the product, that your candles are going to be the best smelling candles they've ever had. So those are some things we're thinking about. I do like that we have this down here. I like that a lot. No complaints there. Carry instructions, kind of cool. I did not know that. I've never actually seen that before. That is pretty slick. I like that a lot. And then down here we got this again. So I like a lot of our elements, kind of what we're talking about on our homepage. I think we do need to do some reorganizing here, potentially some restructuring and some re-emphasis. Big thing here, look at our heat maps, right? Where are people focusing? You know, I would bet that people are probably not getting that far down this page. We'll look here on mobile in just a sec, but really it's quite a bit of scrolling to even get to this part and then down into this part down here. It's a lot of scrolling. So I would be thinking about how we can streamline this, how can we make this a little bit easier for people to actually like go and see. So let's go ahead and look at mobile here real quick. So good here. I like this. One thing I would talk about here, so check this out. So this is covering our stuff up quite a bit here, especially on our image carousel. I'm going to think about there. These kinds of graphics work really, really well. We see a lot of people scrolling through these and getting information. So especially when we look at heat maps. So I would be thinking about maybe using our product image carousel here as more of like a value builder, looking at stuff like this, adding in some more of these kinds of imagery. I do like this. I think we do a good job. This one's not much different than this one. But I would be thinking about what can we do to use this space a little better. So something to think about there. Maybe even putting some graphics up in here around like the mission, stuff like that. So that could be cool. Moving down, so we already touched on this. Probably don't need that. Probably move this down a little bit here. I like this. Don't need to do too much. But one thing I want to talk about here, buying information it's pretty good, right? We're not too low on the page. But I don't know if you can see this in the scroll, but you'll see the little scroll little dealio thing over here on scroll, long product page. So on mobile especially, this is a pretty big page. And so what's happening is people are probably not scrolling down that far on here. So what can we do to get some of this, condense this a little bit, of course, but then also just how can we get people to actually get the information? So if I was a betting man here, I'd probably bet that less than 30% of people are even getting this far. So check that out. Look at your scroll depth here, understand where people are going, where they're fixating on. And then we can reverse engineer that, saying, okay, well, if, let's go use an example here. Let's say this information, the love it or will replace it, which I think is huge. That's probably one of our biggest value props as a buyer versus our mission. If this is one of our biggest value props, this is something that should be up here, right? So those are some of those key bits of information that we do need to be thinking about of how we can reorganize here. And so if people aren't getting that information because they're not scrolling down, then we need to reorganize here. So I won't touch on this too much. Main thing here is just probably reorganizing based on what our heat maps are telling us. One, two, how can we condense this because it is such a long page? And then three, just making sure we are getting the most beneficial for the buying process as far as value props go. Right. So the mission is great. We love that, but I do think we can do a little bit better there with using a little more balance on our buying props there. So go ahead, get rid of that here. All right. Let's look at our cart here. Add a cart. What we got? Okay, cart's looking good. We got some upsells in here. I like that. We're looking good here. Talking about that here. So this is great. No issues with that. And then jumping over here to our cart. Now I'm not sure what cart app we're using. Maybe Upcart. Kind of looks like Upcart. I'm a big fan of Upcart. I do like some of these cart apps. So this is looking good. Orders take 1-2 business days to ship. All good there. Good there. I like this a lot. We did have our upsell here. So now this is so I clicked off. So check this out. So I clicked off of our upsells here because I just wasn't quite ready. I just wanted to see my cart in here. Now what happens is I'm $43 away from my purchase now. So what's going to happen is I need to go and find another product to buy. Right? I want to get up to that free shipping. I would say, what can we do to get some of those upsells in the actual cart? Because now I clicked off. Now I got to go restart my entire buying process. That's going to take time. probably going to come back to that later because that's just going to take quite a bit of time. I don't want to do that right now. So making it easy for people to get up to that free shipping. One thing I would also think about here. So free shipping is a very interesting thing. For you guys, I want to touch on this. And again, this is a margin thing. I don't know your margins, so this would be something to be careful with. $43. That means add two. Do that, and up to $13. Oh, because sorry, I was trying to do some math here. So we've got 30 USD, but it's 99 Canadian for our free shipping threshold. Interesting. Okay, got it. So what I was going to say is, again, here in the US, so numbers a little funky here. I would be thinking about that. That does cause a little bit of confusion because I was thinking it was going to be $99, and at $99, I would really need to add 3 candles plus a tiny bit more. So I would be thinking about that as a balance in there. A little bit different in there though. We're having a little bit of a different process there. So disregard that. But again, big thing here. I don't need a note for a candle, right? It's not anything crazy there, unless you see a lot of people using it. I probably could use that space better for an upsell. Right? Make it easier for me to buy, so I have to go back in there. Checkout plus free returns on your order. Okay, so by purchasing redo, do I have to purchase that? Checkout plus. Interesting. I am curious what that does here. Huh. Okay. Checkout looks fine. Since we're not on plus, we can't really do too much there. So we can do that. But I would be thinking about this if I need this. People do get a little funny. We do see that quite a bit, causing a headache, causing some problems here if you can't remove something with this checkout plus. So I have an extra $3 charge. I don't want that. I can't get rid of it. So I would be thinking about that. We do see that people get a little funny with that too. So just be careful with that. One other thing right here, we just have a little bit of imbalance here with this not being quite as wide as the rest of it, and this being centered, everything else being left aligned. So just from a branding standpoint, I would be conscious of that. Jumping over here, I wanted to touch on our bundles here real quick as well. So let's touch on that next. All right, let's talk bundles here. So this is good. I think our image is a little funny. I think we could probably have some better imagery in here, but overall, not too bad. Free shipping on 99 Canadian. I like that. Getting our basic information in there. A couple other things that we can be looking at in here. So let's scroll down. We got our value props. I like that. This section, really weird use case. Tons of just blank space here. Don't love that. Tons of blank space here. Don't love that. This section needs to be updated. We're wasting our space and really not having a good way to utilize that. One thing also, this text is super, super tiny, super hard to read. I have pretty good vision. Pretty tough to read though. So I would be thinking about that here. And then we jump over to mobile. Not great, right? Oh, that's not great at all. So what can we do to make this look a little bit better? Now I like the 4-column here on mobile. I think that looks fine, but this text spacing's off, sizing's off. It's a little goofy looking. So I'd be fixing that. All right, choose at least 4 items from all candles. I like it. Add to bundle. We got a lot of products in here. We don't have any filters, so I'd probably make it a little bit easier to be able to filter, get some sense in here, make that nice and easy. So if I want to look at all of our citrus ones and I want to add 5 citrus ones in here or 4 citrus ones, probably make that a little bit easier. I would be thinking about that. Make just filter based on collections. Add to bundle, add to bundle, bundle, add to bundle. Cool. I like it. This would be something to be looking at also. See if we can do anything so we don't have any scrolling there. And we just have all 4 of them in the cart. If you have 10 in the cart, obviously a different story, but it would be nice to be able to see all 4 of them at the same time since that's our minimum for our buying here. But all good here. No complaints. no complaints here. I like this. I think this is a good use case for that. You have an awkward blank space in here. Other thing I would be thinking about. Yep, don't see it. So on our homepage and our product page, we have the section around free returns, easy returns, stuff like that. If you don't like it, we'll take it back. We don't have anything about that on this page, so I would be thinking about that too. So bringing that buying information over here would be something I would be thinking about in here too. So overall, though, this is looking good, and a lot of updates. Obviously, we can go through here. Definitely not a bad sign. I want you guys to take this as too much criticism here, because it's not a bad sign at all. I do think there are some things that can be improved, of course. Definitely making sure that we are going through the right things. Now, I know, Andy, you said you did have some questions around like IntelliGems and testing. I want to touch on that as well. IntelliGems super easy to use. There's a ton of documentation on there for different kinds of tests. We can get into that more on like an actual, a different one of these. Understanding what kinds of tests are there. To me, what I would be thinking about is testing probably our organization of our site. That's where I'd be thinking first, because you have all the information there. Just seems a little out of order. So that's where I'd be thinking about. IntelliGems is super easy to set up. You can set up a test in a few minutes. Not a hard thing there. IntelliGems is great. ShopUp is another one. If you vibe with that one better, same price ish, I think within a couple dollars of each other, but both are really good options. One thing I do want to touch on with A/B testing though, for a lot of brands now, I don't know what you guys' numbers are. I don't know where you're at sessions wise or sales wise or anything like that. But when it comes to A/B testing, you do need to have a substantial amount of traffic going through the test to really have it actually do anything. So that is different for every single test, just depending on what the test is and what the swing is. So for example, if you have something that's a 1% change in conversion rate, you'll need a lot more data to get to statistical significance from 1% change versus 100% change, right? If we have a huge change, we can be a lot more confident that it's going to be a good change based on a lower volume of sessions through it. But if it's a smaller change, you'll need more sessions. That's just how it balances out. The whole goal here, though, is to get to statistical significance because we want to be confident that what change we're making and what the data is telling us is actually what the data is going to continue to tell us after we roll it out. So based on not knowing where you guys are at, I would be cautious of that, making sure that you are testing the right things. IntelliGems is a great tool, though. I've really enjoyed using it. We've used it for most of our clients at this point. Either that one or Shoplift. So two very, very good tools out there. So I'd definitely be thinking about that. I'm going to jump back over here to our group here. I think there are a couple other questions in our chat. So let me go look at that real quick. Okay. Oh, yeah. So Andy, following up here. So thoughts on the redo checkout plus? Touched on that quite a bit actually. So we like that a lot. Add-on customers can add for free shipping labels, return exchange. Haven't anyone used it yet? Yeah. So this is something I probably would be cautious of this. If it was me, I'd probably get rid of that. Especially if people aren't using it, right? If people are using it, different story. But you're saying people aren't using it here. So I would be, and for anyone who is not, actually, we'll go ahead and do this. So for anybody who is watching this in replay here, this is what Andy is saying. Wants to get thoughts on the redo checkout, which was what we were seeing here in our cart. I'm going over to checkout with that $3 upcharge there for their free returns. Couple things and why I actually don't like this at all from like a psychology standpoint. For me, if I'm printing out a shipping label, that means I'm buying this assuming I'm going to have to return it. Seems a little backwards, right? Instead, we want to be thinking about how can I give you so much confidence that you're not going to need to return it, right? So I would be thinking of it like this. And so just to go back over here, this is what we're seeing in here. So checkout plus that extra $3 in here. So this is something I would be thinking about how we can get people. Probably wouldn't be thinking about this. To me, this is something where I'm like, hey, I'm spending $3 to return something. A little backwards. So I'd probably not do that. I'd much rather see that actually gone, no charge there, especially if we are talking about the free returns, which I think, let me go back over here. Yep, right here. And we'll replace it for free. but you're going to charge me $3. It's just a little confusing. I get where you guys are coming from. You want to cover your bases on there. Totally understand that. But I would say probably not the best customer experience there, especially going into a purchase thinking we're going to return it. Probably wouldn't like that too much. So I would think about that. That's going to be the biggest thing. And then the other question you had on here, for IntelliGems for A/B testing. So basically, what this does is it'll split your traffic through through your tests. So we'll say a product page test to make things easy. So you have your version A, your version B. You're bringing people through Meta. It doesn't change anything there. You're still, all your tracking is still going to be the same. All of your data is still going to be the same. You're just sending people through two different versions of whatever the test is. So let's say you're changing out your buy box. That's the only thing that's changing, but everything else stays the same. You still have your same code in there. You still have your same tracking in there. So everything does track still the same back through Meta or whatever platform you are advertising on. Only thing it's doing differently is using a different page template or a different version of said test. So that's how we want to be thinking about that. So it's just splitting your test. And you can adjust to how much you want to do that. You can do an ABC test if you're getting enough traffic in there. But definitely be careful with how much traffic you are getting there before you start venturing into more testing there. So that should be good for there. If you do have any more questions, like please drop those here in the chat here. Happy to answer more of these. But today we can go ahead. Looks like we can wrap a little bit early. We didn't want to jump in here, so we got through that. Andy, obviously you'll be watching this here a little bit later today. If you do have any questions, go ahead, drop it in that chat. And make sure we get you all taken care of. So guys, if you enjoyed this, if you found this to be helpful, if you think this is something that we should do more of, if you do have questions, of course, please drop them in the group here. Ask questions. Happy to answer anything you guys have. So, all right, we'll stop there, and I'll see you guys later. See ya.